Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Bandek. I am the Business Outreach Liaison for the City of Glendale's Economic Development Division. Thank you for joining this month's virtual Tech on Tap event. If you have previously attended a Tech on Tap, welcome back. If this is your first time attending, we are so excited to have you join us. For those of you that are not familiar with Tech on Tap, the City of Glendale hosts a monthly free networking series to allow professionals to connect, discuss the latest technological innovations, and hear from well-established guest speakers. If you are interested in learning more about Glendale's tech initiative, I highly recommend that you visit glendaletechweek.com. And speaking of Tech Week, our annual Glendale Tech Week will be returning this September in an exciting in-person and virtual model. More information on this year's events can be found at glendaletechweek.com/breakthrough. The links have also been added to the chat. To celebrate today's exciting Tech on Tap event, one lucky audience member will have the chance to win a special raffle giveaway, which will occur at the end of today's event. So stay tuned for that. Not only is today's topic exciting, but also so are our guest speakers. Today we will be hearing from Armen Chircorian and Levon Muradian of pxlmade, who will be taking us for a dive into the world of NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies. Before I introduce today's guest speakers, I would like to give you all the opportunity to connect with one another. Shortly, you will be placed into breakout rooms where you will have a total of 5 minutes to share your name, industry, and one thing you are hoping to learn from today's Tech on Tap. Perfect. I hope that gave you all the opportunity to connect and quickly meet one another. To get a better understanding of today's audience, I ask that you please participate in a very quick poll. You should now be able to see the poll on your screens.
Yes.
And for those of you that are watching the YouTube recording, the question asks, how familiar are you with NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies? The options are, I have no clue what these three words mean, some familiarity and general understanding, all my life savings are in crypto, and I'm very familiar in at least one of the three. Give it a couple more seconds until everyone participates in this poll, and we'll share the results shortly. All right, so I'm going to end the poll, and it looks like 67% have some familiarity and general understanding. 2 people have, oh, let me share the results. 2 individuals have put all their life savings in crypto, which
wow.
I'm not sure if that's concerning or that's a good thing.
I would be concerned a little.
Yeah, just slightly. And we 15% are familiar in at least one of the three, very familiar in at least one of the three, and 13% have no clue what these 3 words mean. No worries at all. I'm glad that you all are here. And I would like to introduce our very special guest speakers. Today we'll be hearing from 2 experts, Armen Chircorian and Levon Muradian, who will be taking your understanding of NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies to the moon. You'll be hearing from Armen Chircorian, a serial entrepreneur focusing on startups in the big data and tech space. With a background in cognitive science and computer science, Armen has worked with various companies to bring invaluable products and tools to the market. Armen first entered the blockchain and cryptocurrency space in 2012 with the development of Cuff, a secure solid-state wearable featuring 2 terabytes of secure cryptocurrency and NFT storage. Armen specializes in product design, product development, SaaS applications, and web app development at pxlmade. We will also be hearing from Levon Muradian, who is a Los Angeles-based photographer and filmmaker specializing in fashion and portraiture. His involvement in cryptocurrency began in 2018 with investments in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. He is currently focusing on motion graphics, stills, and developing digital content into the blockchain at pxlmade. I know you all are as excited as I am, so without further ado, let's get started. Armen, Levon, take it away.
All right, great. Can everybody hear me clearly? The sound volume is good?
Yes, it's perfect.
Wonderful. All right, so welcome to NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrency 101. We're going to take a quick yet not so quick dive into the world of NFTs, just because we did see some people are investing their entire life savings. So we want to clarify as much as possible. You will be seeing a lot of terms circulating throughout the presentation. Some of these things are for reference, and what we'll notice is we're going to be coming back and forth between a lot of terms. So just keep an eye out for those things. One of the overviews here that you'll see is blockchain technology. What is blockchain? What is it used for? And NFTs, what are NFTs? These are one of the questions I'm sure everybody has. Examples and utilizations of NFTs. Right? How to make a wallet. This is one of the main concerns that people have, is how do they actually get started in the space, how to fund it, how to buy and sell NFTs, which everyone's hearing about in the news. And speaking of news, what's all the hype? Of course, everybody's just talking about this over social media, over blogs. You're literally seeing it everywhere. So, and furthermore, cryptocurrencies. We're seeing everybody just really trying to get into cryptocurrencies, trying to make money with cryptocurrencies. And so we want to talk about some of the concerns, some of the pitfalls, and of course, we have cautionary issues that we want to discuss regarding the space, and also some important concerns and added information for everybody, especially those who are investing all the money that they have. So welcome. First of all of you to another wonderful Tech on Tap. We want to thank everyone who's taking time out of their day. We're excited to share all this news, and a big thank you to John, Ani, and everyone at the City of Glendale for making this happen. This is usually done in person. However, due to requirements of the pandemic and all the social distancing, we're trying to get this done digitally. Or is anyone seeing my screen here?
We cannot at the moment, no.
Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Wonderful. Okay. So with these topics, especially being a topic of discussion and news, we're going to try to cover as much as we can in the misconceptions. From all of us at pxlmade, we just want to give you our deepest gratitude for joining today.
Absolutely.
And we're going to dive right into it. So NFTs, blockchain, and crypto, it's the future, they say, right? Why is all this important? It's important because really it's not just something that's in the news. It's not just something that's on social media. It's actually a technology that's being used very rapidly to develop other technologies that are existing in the world of the web. The world of the web is a world that you guys are all involved in every day. So to be honest, this concerns everybody and their future as well. So it seems like it's always about the future, right? You hear this all the time. It's the future. This is the future. That is the future. But this really is. So let's dive right into a quick anecdote, I would say, a little story here. Let me tell you a story about the correspondence between two parties. Now, the reason the blockchain was developed is to address a few real world issues, one of which expects there to be, so there are two parties. One of these parties expects there to be something which he desires to be acknowledged by another party. So if I want a bag of popcorn from Levon, right, and I need to confirm that he in fact has that bag of popcorn before I decide to get it from him, this really is the issue of correspondence and confirmation that blockchain is trying to resolve. Correspondence between two sources has always been a really big issue. This has been obvious to anyone, for example, who works in a consumer retail store. A customer comes in and wants to buy the bag of popcorn, like we just said, that they saw in the menu. You check the system. There are 2 bags of popcorn in the back. You go to the back and you look for 10 minutes, but there is no popcorn to be found. Now the customer has left in frustration by the time you return without the product in their hand. Now, how can you ensure that this issue does not happen? Metaphorically speaking, this is what the blockchain is attempting to resolve in the real world. An age-old issue of correspondence between 2 resources or 2 sources of information where discrepancy is truly the mother of all problems. This correspondence to what is initially being inputted and agreed upon by two parties is what remains unsolvable. If I sell you an NFT that remains on a server somewhere, you need to be able to retrieve it from there. If you cannot, it becomes lost. Or if it's not there in the first place, which is the issue we're discussing here, the sale can never go through. So blockchain is creating a worldwide consensus and an agreement over whether it's products, whether it's contracts, whether it's artwork. So it's helping create this consensus. Now, as we just said, the correspondence is really the main issue. So to ensure that correspondence always remains correct and that nothing is ever misrecorded into the blockchain has methods which control this correspondence and requires that the data is never changed. This provides valid consensus protocols to ensure that this statement is agreed upon mutually by all the parties involved and recorded forever in the blockchain. Now, the one thing with the blockchain is that whatever is inputted is there forever. So that's really the upside to the blockchain, but also it has its how you say, the pitfalls that we'll be discussing. So what's going on here? So there we go. So some thoughts and ideas before we go further. What is the blockchain? The blockchain was initially developed to serve as a public ledger. So here we're coming back to the consensus and correspondence between parties. So this serves as a public ledger consisting of data blocks that contain information. So this was initially done for the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. And what this is all known as is a distributed ledger technology.
That's right.
So the future implications of the blockchain, NFTs, and cryptocurrencies in the market are all uses and integrations of distributed ledger technology. And the uses will be products, artworks, music, and dApps. dApps are something you guys are going to be hearing a lot about, and we'll get into that. So the future holds many great possibilities for the blockchain. Really amazing possibilities that are available for public trade, for e-commerce, for advertising and marketing alike. And we're going to be getting into some examples of those things. Like with all new technologies come great consequences. So the proper amount of research, especially for those investing their life savings, and knowledge is required before entering the space. And we'll be shedding some light on the information that'll help you all navigate this space, hopefully much better than you would have before attending today. Yes or yes? Okay.
Yes or yes.
Yes or yes. We'll further highlight market uses of NFTs, blockchain, and cryptocurrencies, and their current participation into developing Second Life worlds. Something that you all might have questions about, but we will hopefully explain and answer those questions by the end of this talk, as well as how the world is utilizing cryptocurrencies and the blockchain as a vessel in an ever-evolving frontier, which we call the new internet, Web 3.0. A lot of you have probably heard about Web 2.0, but we are, which we are in now, but are now quickly transitioning into Web 3.0. So some important points before we begin. It's important to know that the blockchain and decentralized ledger technologies are part of a new type of decentralized internet, which we are talking about. The entire goal of the blockchain is to develop a decentralized internet. What this means is we are attempting to develop an internet that does not have mediator parties, does not have your major stakeholders like Apple, Google, and Facebook, who actually control most of what we are seeing as far as content and information goes on a daily basis.
Which is pretty much like a middleman. There is no middleman.
Correct. So decentralization means the removal of a middleman in the technology. So one type of DLT is called blockchain technology, right? Which helps house the cryptocurrency that we otherwise know as Bitcoin. Other cryptocurrencies exist as well, but we'll be talking mostly about Ethereum and Bitcoin. Decentralized ledger technologies, we will see, are the basis of the blockchain, and they are the building blocks of information like transactions, contracts, identities, and other information, including interactions with the blockchain itself. For those of you involved in legal contracts, dealing with intellectual property or licensing intellectual property and your personal content, these things are really important. These technologies belong to the new internet, and that's what we refer to as Web 3.0. So Web 3.0, what is Web 3.0? Web 3.0 enables a future where distributed users and machines are able to interact with data on peer-to-peer networks without the need for third parties. Just like Levon said, the third party is the middleman, and the Web 3.0 is growing every day, and it's enabling a future where distributed users are able to interact with each other in what we call a composable, human-centric, and privacy-preserving fabric for the next wave of the web. It's giving birth to applications like decentralized apps, which belong on the blockchain. Some of these are applications that you've already seen: OpenSea, Rarible, Nifty. A lot of you who are in the space have already heard of these things. These are forked applications, extensions of the blockchain, which allow for all this content. So mostly Web 3.0 has become an environment for all people like to share the common interest of innovation beyond boundaries of nationality, industry, ethnicity. Really, the goal of Web 3.0 is to level the playing field for everybody in the world. So we'll be discussing the future of NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, the blockchain itself, and each of the risks that come with these things. Most importantly, NFTs are becoming a vessel for artists, creative brands, and corporations alike to share their intellectual property in new ways that offer them long-term generational ownership over these intellectual properties. Take Mickey Mouse by Walt Disney, for example. Till today, his estate, the Walt Disney Company, which has been doing so for decades, licenses out these artworks, these intellectual properties for profit over multitudes of channels. You have the Disney Plus app. All of these things are extensions of intellectual property that has been pushed to the internet, to the web. So let's go into why this matters. It's because it's the version of the World Wide Web that is allowed for innovation that is beyond what we've been seeing in just the regular internet. We are seeing ways that people can license digital goods in a way that they can own it in the virtual. So now the main thing that comes in play with the blockchain is, again, to keep the big man out, so to speak, which is service providers, ISPs, as well as private and government entities seeking immediate oversight. While we might not think that platforms like Facebook and Google give in to government oversight, that's just a misconception. All of these corporations and organizations all have some form of oversight. So this type of web, the Web 3.0 is also known to some of you or a lot of you as the dark net or the dark web. This is the other side of the blockchain and the dark net that gives its own world of possibilities. But what we want to focus on are the cryptocurrencies and how cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and blockchain are used to develop smart contracts and ledgers that are stored on the blockchain. Cryptocurrencies, namely Bitcoin and Ethereum, are actually among the first blockchain cryptocurrencies ever that are not tied to government or physical entities, even though we do see some today that are. So here's a quick overview of what we just discussed right now. The early days of the internet, Web 1.0 is, for a lot of you that remember, AOL and AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, Netscape, and 56K modems. Now we've seen a world where Airbnb, you can digitally rent rooms and go, and you can digitally rent a car to show up.
You buy a house.
You can buy a house digitally. Everything is really in sync. So we're reaching a synchronicity here with Web 2.0, and we're really evolving from synchronicity into what's called singularity of AI and driven devices and services, which is in a world of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and the blockchain. The blockchain will be allowing for more autonomous interactions between products and organizations due to its not needing a middleman, which oftentimes is really the issue with a lot of things. Someone signs a contract, you have to have a witness that that person signed the contract or whatnot. With the blockchain, all of this is atomic, meaning it happens instantaneously, and both parties are agreed upon based on pre-existing parameters, which is something that we'll get further into. So the blockchain and the rise of 3.0, internet was built on a paradigm that everyone is a trusted user. As we've seen that this actually isn't the case. People are over the web, at least, are not trustworthy. We see emails coming in of Nigerian princes that somehow lost all of their money and are trying to acquire some kind of help or whatever.
That's
These
not
are
real?
yeah, we've seen phishing messages, emails that happen on a daily basis. And what we see more and more is fraud, currency theft, and bad acting that occurs across the web. The blockchain itself was an attempt at solving the issue of trust over currency, contracts, and ledgers with an omniscient, as we said, no middleman, decentralized authority written into the code itself. So the blockchain is about managing everything using consensus that is written into the code, right? While people may think, okay, how can code manage all of this? That's where the smart contracts come in, and the code is the text that's written into these smart contracts.
Right.
On the blockchain, everyone and nobody can be a trusted user, right? So it depends on the consensus that could be reached based on criteria that are met through the two of the currently approved parameters known as proof of stake and proof of work. So we'll be getting into proof of stake and proof of work. There are other proofs, but we're here to discuss what's possible with these. And now these are not the only proofs as well, because there are also different blockchains. Now we talk about the blockchain as if it's one, but there are many different blockchains. Yes, there are definitely different blockchains, and we'll be discussing some of these examples. But most importantly, we care about the beneficial uses of the blockchain outside of the not so popular uses of the blockchain that are among things like the dark net. One of the greatest examples that I can bring in over the development of the blockchain are the avenues of income that have opened up for artists and photographers, as well as celebrities and athletes alike. Although, keep in mind, again, as I said, the blockchain is something that's important for everybody and actually applies to everybody and every industry, really. It's a technology, and it's not just a topic. So it's not just a fad. It's not just some kind of like new age thing that's come into play. It's actually an existing technology, similar to how we've had the internet be born, similar to how social media is now taking over most of people's daily interaction, right?
Marketing as well.
And marketing, and just really people are fully making themselves available over social media, right? And so the blockchain itself and the things that belong on the blockchain, like cryptocurrencies and NFTs, are becoming commonplace. So for example, a previously struggling illustrator or artist that was not getting paid for works that they have in their portfolio can now otherwise be discovered over the web and actually make income.
Absolutely, right? And it can be monetized.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so further, we see the mainstream use of the blockchain and NFTs more and more today than ever before. And that's why we are all here today, is because we're seeing this topic just coming up in whether it's our social media feeds or whether we turn on the news. And actually, in fact, most people who go out to dinner or even go to a bar these days, one of the first discussions are, oh, hey, did you see that NFT that sold for $69 million?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we'll get into some examples of that, that there do exist an entire market for that.
Absolutely.
One of the things to keep in mind, though, is that this is a very volatile market, and not to be negative about it, but to urge education.
Absolutely.
So, because,
right. Unlike the stock market, the cryptocurrency market never sleeps.
Yes.
It's 24/7. So you might lose some sleep on it. I know people who follow it on a half-hour basis. So
correct. And so with all this, welcome to this new world. Some might call it a brave new world that's already driven by Web 3.0. So what we need to know about blockchains are that they are DLTs, which is distributed ledger technologies, that we already touched some base on, and that blockchain is a type of DLT, which is the backbone for current cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Again, there are other types of DLTs. We are not going to get into those. We may get into those into our 101, 102, and 103 courses discussions later on, right? But just to keep focused right now, we're going to be talking about the main blockchain, which are being operated on using cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So as we just said, there's different types of distributed ledger technologies. Mainly the one that we're going to be talking about is the use and market of blockchain. Artists now are selling their works on these blockchain technologies like NFTs, which belong on the Ethereum blockchain mainly right now, and are the issue and the importance of using these platforms, these technologies to process and sell artworks and intellectual properties, because they're created with safe and secure properties for all those involved in the exchange of the information and the assets. So this is something where proof of work and proof of consensus, as we touched base on and will touch base on further, becomes very important. So the properties of distributed ledger technology that can quickly highlight what's really important is the following, right? The contract. So the code in itself is the agreement. So if I want to make an agreement with Levon over a bag of popcorn that he's going to give me, that's all written programmable into a code that cannot be changed and is mutually agreed upon. Because of this, it's secure. And because Levon doesn't need to tell me that he's Levon, and I don't need to tell Levon that I'm Armen, this can be anonymous. Now, one of the things that is very often mistaken is anonymous versus untraceable. There is nothing on the blockchain that isn't traceable. Every single action, every single transaction, every single dollar spent, every single crypto spent or asset acquired is recorded forever into the blockchain. And this is where it creates an immutable record, a unanimous record, as we see here, okay, that is both time-stamped and distributed across every single member that is part of the blockchain. So every party can see the same information. Now, these strict characteristics are what bring about the uniqueness of the blockchain. So, as we talked about, the blockchain is a type of distributed ledger technology. The most important thing to know here is that it's persistent. It never gives up on the facts and the truth. It's distributed, it's tamper resistant, it can never be edited, and it's cryptographically secure. So as we said, it's once it's in the system, it's there forever. And with advanced redundancy objectives on top of all the existing security already, you can imagine the appeal and effectiveness of the blockchain for financial institutions. I'm sure that's the one thing everybody's seeing in the news, is that every bank, whether it's Goldman Sachs or
Any hedge fund,
or a hedge fund or a credit card company, they all want to know how they can apply the blockchain to their existing real world problems.
Absolutely. Yep.
So one of the most important things is that blockchain is becoming the perfect place to store property rights, financials, credentials, contracts, identities, and agreements for anybody who any of this applies to in their industry. Whether most people are signing contracts in every industry, so this really does apply. And the biggest thing in the blockchain and over what we call the decentralized internet is censorship of data. So there is no censorship of data when it comes to the blockchain, especially with the use of the digital ledger technology, because everything is made public to everyone. Now, to clarify between what a contract is and what a smart contract is, the difference, we will get into that very shortly. So blockchain technology, we're going to dive further into that. The basic tenets of blockchain technology are that it's a system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. This is really the benefit and one of the biggest upsides to using the blockchain, because it contains what's called a consensus algorithm. As we are seeing here, in order to process a transaction, process something, mutually agreed parties need to have that signature, that agreement that is created between the two parties. A consensus algorithm is a procedure through which all peers of the blockchain network reach a common agreement about the present state of what they're trying to agree upon. So Levon and I agree that I want a bag of popcorn, and that is the consensus algorithm that tells the system these two parties want the popcorn
as a transaction.
As a transaction, find that popcorn and make sure that the transaction is completed. So one of the issues here is that when it comes to tampering, if one block on the blockchain is tampered with, it would notify all parties. And if hackers want to corrupt the system, they would have to change every single block within the blockchain, which could literally take hundreds of years to change across all the distributed versions of the chain. So therefore, the blockchain really makes it impossible to hack. So as we talked about quickly, was the proof of work and proof of stake. These are really the, sorry about that. Proof of work and proof of stake are really the consensus algorithms that we were talking about. As the topic of work is one of the ones that could be discussed and debated endlessly. There is many different versions of proof of this work. And work is used very broadly here. So we want to establish that these are the two proof methods within the current mainstream blockchain, which allows the blockchain to verify transactions. We are still definitely in the infancy of all these topics and theories. And so these are still expanding concepts and theories. Proof of work is still being expanded on, and proof of stake is also still being expanded on. Now, so proof of stake. So the simplest difference between the two is about how much work can be done versus the other is about how much funds there are. So proof of stake means how much of cryptocurrency or how much of my assets do I have within the system, and because of this you can trust me. And proof of work is I can do all of this work to prove to you that I am who I am, and these concepts of work might be performing a mathematical equation that could take 100 years to complete if it was a human being doing it versus a system doing it. So these are some of the examples. There's also other proofs like proof of burn, proof of Byzantine fault tolerance, proof of elapsed time, and proof of capacity. So, you know, again, we're going to get into all of these probably sometime in the future, as we do have limited time today. So if you guys do want to know more about these topics, you can obviously reach back out to us or attend one of our next events. So one of the big issues in discussion and in news is proof of work requires massive amounts of power and energy to resolve. And so it really is one of the things that people are fighting against. It uses large farms that are competing against each other to create the proof of work. And so it becomes a huge waste of energy that is used and spent for everybody who's trying to capture that transaction. Now, proof of stake is something that's a little bit different, where it presents themselves to lend benefit to people who have the most value or stake. Now, according to the Cambridge Center of Alternative Finance, Bitcoin currently consumes about 110 terawatt hours per year. That's 0.55% of the global electricity production, or roughly equivalent to the annual energy draw of small countries like Malaysia or Sweden. So as you can see, this is one of the big issues. Furthermore, there is issues of attacking the network, which is called the 51% attack. Now, when it comes to proof of stake, people are worried that if I have 51% of all the cryptocurrency in the market, then I can change the market. And then proof of work presents the fact that if I can perform 51% of all the work in the market, then I can control the market. Now, one of the issue where people lend closer to proof of stake is that it's most likely not possible for me to capture 51% of all the assets in the world. And so this presents a more secure opportunity. And things like Ethereum and Cardano are working on protocols that use proof of stake and expand it further to avoid these pitfalls. So as we see here, ledgers must be distributed and decentralized on the blockchain. This is what we talked about of centralized versus decentralized. Current systems are centralized, as you see on the left. This is your common banking system. And on the right, you see decentralized finance, which is the Web 3.0 financial systems of cryptocurrency. Now, there have been many attempts to create digital money in the past, but obviously, because we haven't heard about them, they failed. And most prevailing issue is trust, which comes back to the terms of consensus. Bitcoin was initially designed to solve this problem, by using a specific type of database called the blockchain, as we discussed. So most normal databases, such as an SQL database, which some of you might have heard about already, have someone in charge. So this is the middleman who can change entries. You can see the worry of this would be that if I control a database with cryptocurrencies involved, I can give myself $1 million X or $1 million X of that cryptocurrency. So the utility of this is most important thing currently in the blockchain. And therefore, due to Ethereum's wide use, we have seen it gain more popularity due to the fact that it has the security over the database. Now, the blockchain is different because nobody is in charge. It's run by the people who use it and is decentralized. So what's more is that these cryptocurrencies can't be faked, hacked, or double spent. There aren't an infinite amount of them. There's always a finite amount, and they can be all tracked. So that is really the benefit. Now, a need for decentralized storage in the blockchain. One of the biggest things that we all wonder is where all this stuff is stored. Decentralized storage is one of the main controlling mechanisms behind the blockchain. Now, what it stores is a chain of blocks. It's literally, as it's in the word blockchain, it's a chain of blocks in which each block is written with a set amount of data. There are usually in the form of transactions, sale orders, or smart contracts. These all take part in creating a master ledger onto which these transactions are stored, which become the permanent record. Now, smart contracts. This is in order to remain decentralized, there has to be a system of managing authority without the middleman. So this is where smart contracts come in, and everything on the blockchain operates using agreements set forth within smart contracts. Hence, the smart contracts themselves operate as the authority within the blockchain, removing all other third parties. So to clarify between the two real world applications, a contract is having an agreement between having a lawful object entered into a voluntary agreement by two or more parties, each of whom intends to create one or more legal obligations between them. The difference remains that a smart contract operates via a computer protocol that we just discussed without any third parties involved, and verifies and enforces the negotiation of the performance of that contract based on some kind of proof that we just reviewed, and prevents any contractual clauses or needs for any other third parties involved. It becomes a mutually signed agreement.
Yep.
And so this is the aim of adopting blockchain use across the globe, is to have all intermediaries disappear and everything becomes more decentralized, no more single sources. Now, as we just discussed, a smart contract is self-executing in terms of the agreement between the buyer. The code is what's part of the agreement and is intended to automatically execute based on the agreement between the two parties. And it comes as part of the new web, and it's essentially the controlling mechanism of the new web, which its objectives of smart contracts are the reduction of need and trusted intermediaries, arbitrators, and other enforcing mechanisms or costs to all of these things. So this also relieves of possible enforcement issues, fraudulent losses, and other things. So smart contracts for blockchain technology. Quickly to tap on these things, there are many types of smart contracts, right? There are probably three of the most common that we would discuss, which are, one of them is ERC20. That is the standard smart contract for fungible tokens, which are among the cryptocurrencies. Fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens are something we're going to get into. So for example, ADA or ADA, Cardano cryptocurrency, or Ethereum, they have their own sources of smart contracts, and they all operate on the ledger of the blockchain. So smart contracts are made to be used on the blockchain and for agreement of use on NFTs. So jumping quickly into how NFTs are protected and how they're licensed is that they are used for, these smart contracts are used to protect the NFTs, to create the agreement over the NFT and the security and consensus over that NFT. So if I purchase an NFT, there is on the back end an ERC71 contract that is made as an agreement between myself and the platform, or myself and other parties. They are the primary source of consensus, as we said, and the communication to establish these measures interoperably within the blockchain and the users of the blockchain. Furthermore, this is the basis of all decisions on the blockchain. There is no decision that's completed without some kind of a smart contract agreement that takes part in establishing consensus among all the parties or stakeholders of that blockchain or platform. So, getting further into the importance and uses of smart contracts, they can be used in financial institutions, they can be used in NFTs. A lot of you who operate in the financial space know about atomic swaps and flash loans, similar to how you go online right now and sign up to get a pre-authorized credit card. The blockchain can help to process atomic transactions instantaneously. So the agreement is made that you want this much credit and you have this many assets. That credit is given to you based on your assets, and an immediate swap is created. So let's quickly jump into NFTs and the future of NFTs. Why is it all important, and the expanded uses of them? So fungibility versus non-fungibility. This is not just a topic that is important for NFTs, but it's just a overall overarching topic of assets that we want to discuss. Fungible and non-fungible assets have existed for quite some time. It's not something that's new. In fact, the first fungible assets were acquired thousands and thousands of years ago. At the time of the pyramids and our ancestors, that's actually known as gold. So everybody who owns physical gold or buys assets into gold, these are fungible. And what that means is that it can actually be replaced with equal value. That's just the simplest way to put it.
Or even more value, actually.
Yeah, or even more value, correct. Yeah. When it comes to fungibility and non-fungibility, both have the ability to be tangible and intangible. So that's one other thing that should be really marked down, is that there could be a non-fungible token that is tangible as well as intangible. And these are being acquired at exponential rates. Things like artworks at Christie's and Sotheby's auction houses that really are the both tangible and intangible options of these things. So in the early 2010s, an intangible fungible token that was created is called Bitcoin. So that's a great example of that. Here's a quick diagram that explains the differences between fungibility and non-fungibility. As you can see on the top left, fungible and intangible are cryptocurrencies. Down to the left, you see non-fungible, intangible, which are things like the CryptoKitties, NFTs that people have purchased, or the CryptoPunks.
Yep.
And even, in fact, copyright, intellectual property is known as a non-fungible, intangible good. On the right, you have tangible, fungible, which is gold and coins. Not to say crypto coins, but actual gold coins. And then you have tangible, non-fungible assets. For example, a one-of-one Ferrari or a Porsche that was created, that is put up for auction, or a Van Gogh, or a one-of-one house that you see right there. This is the simplest way to put it. So fungible versus non-fungible continued here, where we discussed that a bar of gold is not unique, and that there are millions of identical bars of gold worldwide, and you can always replace it for the same or greater value. But the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci or Starry Night by Van Gogh, these are non-fungible. As we all know, there is only one of these, correct? Yes or yes?
Yes or yes. They're priceless.
Yes.
Much. That's it.
Exactly. And so when it's non-fungible, what we're talking about most of the time is it's an NFT here. Non-fungible token is not the physical or digital asset itself, but rather it's a unit of data stored on a digital ledger. As we have known of a modern NFT that sold recently that remains on the blockchain is Beeple's 5,000 Days artwork, which sold for $69 million, as we were talking about.
Good for him.
Yeah. And this opens up, honestly, a dawn of a new era where digital artworks like graphics and photos may far exceed contemporary art value, and modern art pioneers like even artworks by David Hockney, Basquiat, and Andy Warhol, actually. So What is an NFT? An NFT is a unit of data stored on a digital ledger called the blockchain that certifies a digital asset to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. So what are types of NFTs and how does it all work? NFTs can be used to represent items such as photos, videos, audio, and other types of digital artwork, one-of-ones, limited editions that we just spoke about, and as well related to copyrights. Copyrights can as well be referred to as NFTs because they have only one proof of ownership, right? So NFTs recorded using smart contracts are done so using not the ERC-20, but an ERC-721 blockchain contract, which shows proof of ownership forever on the blockchain. So quickly, we're gonna jump right into how do you get an NFT? What do you do with the NFT? How do you process all of this? But first, it all starts with, right, how to use a wallet. So you need to create a wallet, you need to fund your wallet, you need to secure your wallet. And for those that I know in the audience are actually working on wallets currently in their technology, MetaMask wallet is a wallet management system. There are others, but we've just put this one here. And there's other terminologies like ether scanning and gas, which we'll get into really quickly. And we've already talked about some of the digital real estate and smart contracts, as well as the dApps, which are decentralized applications that a lot of you already know or have heard about, which is OpenSea, Rarible, Nifty, and Bitski. Now, one of the big things is communities in this space. Communities are very important, as we now actually have a community here today discussing all of this. Communities are sources of information and sources of help as well. Some of the communities that exist within the space are called Friends with Benefits, as well as another one called VFriends. A lot of you might know that VFriends is actually created by Gary Vaynerchuk.
That's right.
He created this platform, and being that it's a crypto, it's not a cryptocurrency itself. It's actually an NFT platform where you can purchase and acquire NFTs. They come with, and being unique, VFriends comes with the ability to attend a conference as well as one-on-one time with Gary Vaynerchuk. So NFTs come in so many different varieties. They're honestly, they exist in every industry. They can come in different packages, and they all have different terms and characteristics. So let's further get into how to create the NFT. So first you have to create and fund your wallet, then prepare to either buy or mint it. So it's really quite simple. To create an NFT is called minting. You mint the NFT. And just like Levon has done, he has minted his artworks, and we'll actually be sharing some of those with you. This is one on the blockchain in which your creations can be minted. So Ethereum blockchain is just one of the platforms, one of the blockchains on which you can mint. So after you create your wallet and you do all this, you then sign up and register to sell it on any one of these decentralized various marketplaces. There is a cost associated with the minting and selling process, which actually can fluctuate. And this is something that we're going to be really quickly tapping on. And coming back to agreements and contracts, you can also write clauses into your NFTs, including but not limited to royalties of copies if those things are sold. So furthermore, a quick run through of how to pick your platform and mint. It's really simple. You just pick whichever one you see fit for your needs. There are many different ones. As we said, Rarible, Nifty, Foundation, and OpenSea. You can then purchase the cryptocurrency that you will use. Yeah, correct. So one of the most common ones, as we've seen, is Ethereum. And you then transfer from your main fiat currency, which we'll refer to as well, which is your US dollar, your US coin. And you transfer that to Ethereum or some of the other common methods. Ethereum is the most common one, and so we're going to be referring to it with that. So one of the most important things is security. So we recommend paying attention to security and using wallets like MetaMask. So NFTs are minted and created on these platforms, and you will be able to, we'll also be making this deck available to all of you after. These are reference slides for you to be able to pay attention and see what really exists in the market, and that you can touch base on with us and ask us questions on what we think as well. So after you set up your MetaMask wallet, you're then asked to save these keys. That's one of the most important things. So keep that in mind. Security is paramount, and please keep your password safe, because it does contain your financial information and records. So is it safe to and secure to purchase an NFT? The quick answer is yes. Just keep in mind that there is always things to pay attention to. One of the main things here is that NFTs cannot be replicated or counterfeited. So that's the main security aspect to it. The issue remains that minting is the first step. And once you're past that step, once you're able to acquire and create your accounts, you will see further steps in how to process NFTs. So how to mint an NFT on OpenSea. This is a quick instruction here. One of the most important things to pay attention to, and you'll see is highlighted here, is a concept called gas. Now, gas is just like you have in the real world. We need gas to get everywhere. And in the ether, in the metaverse, we also have gas. And let's quickly get into how you can utilize these. Now, NFTs are simply acquired for collectible purposes right now, or digital representation use, or resale purposes, but we're slowly developing new ways that these can be used, whether it's on displaying them on plaques, devices, watches, necklaces, and you know, there are several different examples of this that exist on the market. Now, NFTs are purchased using crypto and gas. So in order to process an NFT, first you need the cryptocurrency, and secondly, you will need the gas, which is purchased with the cryptocurrency to process that NFT. In short, nothing can be processed on the blockchain without a cost. Everything has dollar signs attached to it, from assets to transactions. Think of it like tax and gasoline. You can't make money without getting charged, and you can't go anywhere without getting charged. So this is all done for multiple reasons. There exists a bunch of things that need to be processed within the cryptocurrency space. The blockchain needs to write all these assets to the blockchain. And so in order to make safety paramount, all of these as resources are utilized to ensure all of that. Now, one of the first steps that we recommend is always not linking your main card or your main fiat currency. So always have some kind of a third-party card that you're connecting to the system. And that way you don't use all your life savings accidentally. Okay.
That will happen
So,
sometimes.
yeah. So now, you know, as we said, you can't buy or sell cryptos or NFTs without gas. In order to process anything on the ether, which we call the metaverse, requires a gigawatt. Now, a gigawatt or a gwai is a denomination of cryptocurrency ether, which is used on the Ethereum network. So Ethereum users transact using ether and gwai, which is referred to as gas, with each other to buy and sell goods and services without middlemen or interference from third parties. Here's a really, really good visualizer that we have. And I know John really likes this one. So this shows that how many transactions actually perform on the Ethereum side. On the left, you'll see Ethereum, and on the right, you'll see Bitcoin. You'll see how many transactions are usually waiting in the space to be processed as Bitcoin versus what you'll see here. What you'll see here is that Ethereum transactions coming from multiple different sources process a lot faster and have less waiting time, but have different gas prices. Whereas when it comes to Bitcoin, you're just seeing that one gas price and everyone's got to wait. And the highest bidder essentially gets to process that transaction and get into the blockchain. So the green light means you're clear to get into the blockchain. So in order to process transactions, everybody needs to pay the gas, as we discussed. And here's a really, really good cartoon that I love.
That's beautiful.
It actually covers the entire space in one graphic where it says low gas fees as a light. So it'll show up as soon as the low gas fees come in. It's kind of, I would say it's a cryptographic cartoon, as I like to call it, and it truly encompasses the emotion that is felt in my mind when it comes to utilizing gas or just the metaverse in general and the entire involvement of working on the blockchain. It's probably one of the best metaphors, in my opinion, for everything on the blockchain. And we'll leave this up there for all of you to see. Furthermore, there are different prices when it comes to gas, as in your regular gas stations, the same way it exists on the Ether space. There is standard, fast, and rapid. We actually always recommend using either fast or rapid, because standard, even though it might cost less, may never transact. So you might be sitting there and just waiting for the next 10 days for something and it never happens.
Yep.
So it's really important to make sure transactions are processed correctly, because really everything goes to the highest bidder when it comes to the blockchain. So as we said, you need gas to process everything on the blockchain, and it's simple yet complex. But if you need something in the metaverse, you use gas to process it and to acquire your asset. The faster the gas rate, the higher the chances of a successful transaction. You may think your local gas station has fluctuating prices, but as you saw, there's way more fluctuating prices. For time constraints, I won't be able to show you live prices, but I've provided resources, and gasnow.org is one of those resources where you can go and check to monitor gas prices that in real time. And this shows how quickly and rapidly they change. Gas is not only a method to transact, but it's also priority, as we saw in the graphic above, that it's a tax that's paid, but it's also processing speed and power. So in order for you to be at the priority, for you to be running quickly and not forever pending, higher gas rates are required. So what does this all mean? Why is it useful? All of this is used to transact and create decentralized applications for the future of blockchain technology. All of this work is to be able to utilize and create dApps, which are decentralized applications. One of the first utilities of dApps on the blockchain have been NFTs and buying and selling NFTs. So quickly, to give an example of NFTs, we're going to jump into Rarible, Nifty, OpenSea, and other NFT marketplaces where people buy and sell and auction these things. Gods Unchained, similar to World of Warcraft, which many of you might have played, is operating solely from the blockchain as part of the dApps that exist on the Ethereum blockchain. So NFTs in marketing and advertising, it's actually one of the most exciting things that we believe is that marketing and advertising is being taken to a whole new level with NFTs. NFTs are now being applied for promoting products like cars, fast food, apparel for sale, and offering incentives that come along with purchasing NFT versions of products. And it usually comes with some real world application, like we talked about with VFriends. VFriends gives you a 3-day conference. Even things like games like Fortnite are offering real world interaction with NFTs. So the practical uses and brand protections, as we talked about with Walt Disney, intellectual properties being protected and being helped to be expanded using the blockchain, names or brands. Kings of Leon recently announced their release of a latest album on NFT, and Banksy actually sold his artwork for $380,000, and after which was physically burned and filmed, and also sold as an NFT.
That's right.
So of course, and you already all know about Beeple and have probably seen a lot of his artworks as well. So NFTs of artworks and their ownership, it actually creates a lot of value for artworks and for artists around the globe. It's similar to having an autographed item version. So if Levon here puts his artwork and his photographs on an NFT platform, it's equivalent to him having autographed that artwork and forever licensing that he was the one that created that.
That's right.
And so it's a verifiable ownership via the blockchain ledger, as we talked about. NFTs have metadata processing and have cryptographic functions that secure all of these things. Now, they're becoming a vessel for artists, creative brands, and corporations alike to share their intellectual property in new ways that offer them generational ownership over these intellectual properties. Obviously, again, coming back to Walt Disney as an example. Levon is going to actually tell us a bit about photographers and the film creators and everything that they're capable of doing using NFTs.
Yeah, so instead of getting requests from a firm or an agency or a brand at a flat market rate for the service like I provide or any other artist provides, they could actually go ahead and buy the services at a live crypto market rate of which the crypto market and the currencies are bidding at in real time for my services. So the value and popularity of the currency along with the value and popularity of my work, giving it double value rather than purchasing them for a flat rate. Art and the value of art is in the eye of the beholder or the appraiser in some cases, which may lead to a very sensationalized pricing on networks often running in the hundreds of millions. The true power of NFTs hasn't even begun to be tapped into yet. We see amazing content creators and artists mining artwork from photos to memorabilia. And even celebrities have been capitalizing on the craze of NFTs, as you've seen. Snoop Dogg has done it, different other artists as well. I think it's going to revolutionize the way we think about intellectual property, about creativity, and about engagement.
Wonderful.
So
another great use is the music industry, right, Levon?
Yeah, another great use of the NFTs comes in the form of a musician or artist that can sell the masters of their own music on one of the existing marketplaces where they can further monetize the rights to their music through the blockchain. One example of this comes from Joe. This is just, Joe in Alabama who decides to bid on the music masters of an artist, let's say that they love so much that has currently or previously been on the Billboard Top 100. Joe in Alabama is now an owner to the rights, or at least one of the owners, owners of songs in the hundreds as possible on the blockchain through smart contracts. Now, the beauty of the blockchain is revealed in that Joe can collect royalties on this for his initial investment into the NFT itself. Furthermore, the song can be used in video games or used in other songs, et cetera, et cetera. And he can rake in millions of dollars in streaming plays and sales.
Correct. Very good. So for several brands at pxlmade that we represent, we've seen a huge rise in the necessity for NFTs and the interactions that could be used. So one great example is a tool with VeChain blockchain. As we said, there are other blockchains. With the VeChain blockchain, there is a tool chain, which is a decentralized app where product and ownership over limited edition, one-of-ones or highly sought after pieces, like custom sneakers, for example, are being traceably tracked and recorded forever on the blockchain. Custom sneakers, which require a traceable tracking system and ownership system, because there are many of these that are actually counterfeited and faked.
Yes.
So you can hold your NFC system on your phone and actually track the ownership of that sneaker. So as you'll see very shortly right after this slide, and one of the big things here, as you see, is online stores are actually also using cryptographic currencies to be paying for products, as well as licensing the ownership over the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So VeChain and toolchain use, you see here where a phone is hovering over the tongue of the sneaker. This actually has an NFC chip that is inside the tongue of the sneaker and becomes verifiable over the blockchain. The sneaker industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, is facing a lot of authenticity, counterfeit production issues. And so this helps bypass and battle that issue. Chase Shield, who is actually a sneaker designer that pxlmade represents, is one of the first sneaker designers to ever utilize the blockchain technology in fashion apparel and the sneaker industry. As you'll see right here, actually, in this video, so that was a quick clip, and what you saw there was actually an entire biography page of the artist who created the sneaker, as well as information about that sneaker, a serial number that automatically just pops up within the blockchain and shows ownership of that. So people in these industries can actually truly benefit from that. Yes. Oh, oops, what's going on here? Yeah. Here. Okay, NFTs and collectibles, cards and memorabilia. As we've seen, Pokemon cards and all rookie cards and sport cards are being put in through NFT systems, and verifying ownership and proof of transfer of ownership. One of these things is it creates an issue where Pokemon cards are being faked. This no longer can happen using the blockchain. And another example is in sports and sports and broadcasting. The NBA actually created what's called Top Shot, and it's a project developed by Dapper Labs actually, which creates all the moments from the NBA and can be acquired as NFTs. So John or Levon, anybody can purchase a moment from the NBA and have that. Actually, NBA Top Shot has raked in almost $500 million in sales just from a few months in the public launch of that. So NFTs in Second Life and gaming. NFTs, just like we said, are digital goods that are forever recorded within the blockchain. These things could be skins for Fortnite, weapons in Fortnite, and World of Warcraft, real estate that happens within Second Life, and pretty much all kinds of products and assets within the digital and metaverse. So in cryptocurrencies and gaming, take Farmville on Facebook, for example, which a lot of you have probably used in the past or played. Farmville was actually one of the first ever gaming experiments that involved the concept of NFTs and cryptocurrencies. And this was actually roughly around 10 years ago, and was one of the first experiments on the blockchain. In the world of NFTs, there cannot be more than one original NFT. And so that's one of the biggest things to keep in mind. One of the issues that we were going to talk about, and we'll touch base further later on in our other discussions, but what just want to quickly touch base here is the issues of link rot and storage. So the ownership over the asset can be purchased, but the asset needs to always be hosted. And so this is one of the major issues that we want to talk about and keep in mind here. Issues with digital NFTs, regardless, however, the token functions in a way more similar to a certificate of ownership with a web address pointing to the piece of art. So the piece of art, the NFT that is purchased, still always needs to be stored somewhere. One of the biggest issues here that we want to warn everybody is make sure that the platform that you're purchasing the NFT from has a verifiable longevity, meaning you don't anticipate that they're going to disappear overnight because your file is hosted there. Okay.
Should wrap it up.
Great. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed through all of this right here. And we're going to leave this up for everybody to see. There were 2 links that were removed from the web, and we're going to make this available for everybody to see later on, and they can see the reason behind that. So
Armen, if you don't mind, I think, I mean, crypto is its own entire category.
Yeah, we're definitely going to tap in further on that.
Yeah, I think if the audience is fine with this as well, we will do a part 2 to this Tech on Tap, because I do want to give everyone the opportunity to ask questions on blockchain and NFT, but we could do a part 2 for crypto.
Wonderful.
And go over that another day.
Yeah,
more in depth.
These are really huge topics. And
yes.
It can be talked, you can't talk about this in only an hour, hour and a half span.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
and in just one thing, we want to just leave this off to the end. That's fine. Yeah, I think we've tapped on every other topic. Again, these are things that we would say are probably part of the 101 aspect of things. There is a lot of this that can further be pushed into 102 and 103 style discussions, which go further deeper into the topics.
You go 101.5 to 102.
So we should, I think what we'll do is crypto and what is cryptocurrency will be coming up soon. And we hope that everybody will be able to attend and get further into cryptocurrencies.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to that. And I see in the chat as well, Alvin wrote he's looking forward to 102 and possibly 103. So why not? There's definitely a lot of information that is yet to be covered. And to be honest, that was very impressive. Let's all give a very big virtual round of applause to both Armen and Levon. That was awesome.
On behalf of pxlmade, we're really happy to be part of this. We're really happy to be part of Glendale Tech Week in general. we've been doing so for many years, and we really plan to continue supporting our
absolutely.
city and everything. Yeah.
Born and raised in Glendale, why not help out
Yeah.
and educate people as much as we can?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Truly, thank you. That was very informative, very insightful presentation.
Yes, and
I
we're
do
gonna
want to
make
give
the
the
deck
audience.
available. Yeah, we're also gonna make the deck available for everybody to download.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, we will share the slide deck with everyone right after this event. I do want to give the audience the opportunity to share their thoughts and ask any questions that they may have. Feel free to use the chat feature or feel free to unmute. We will have 10 minutes for the Q&A session.
Mhm.
To kick off the Q&A, I do want to ask a question myself. Armen, you mentioned
Yes.
NFTs and how they're being integrated into various industries. I was wondering, in your opinion, how can industries such as, like, for example, the food and restaurant industry integrate NFTs?
So that's actually a very good question. As in fact, food industry, the hospitality industry in general has actually been one of the bigger utilizers, we would say, of the NFT space in the past, I would say 12 months or so. They are using it for marketing to their user base, to their customers. So an example of Chipotle.
Stop sharing your screen for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, just 1 second.
No worries.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Okay.
Perfect.
So one of the brands that has been doing that actually is Chipotle.
Mhm.
Chipotle as well as Taco Bell have offered NFT versions of their burritos and tacos. Some might wonder why this is all important. It's actually just to create engagement around the brand, to create engagement around the products themselves, as well as to give some interesting motivation toward the use of technology within the blockchain and NFT space, actually, for these brands. Now, what does somebody get when they purchase an NFT from these companies? Somebody who purchases an NFT from Chipotle or from Taco Bell, they usually have something along the lines of what VFriends offers is you either get maybe a full month of burritos or a full year of burritos. They all have their own parameters that they allow. And so they actually, what they actually do is they promote it using some kind of a giveaway system. So it's always around marketing currently for mainstream brands. And of course, outside of the technological uses of it, a lot of brands are using this, of course, for marketing and advertising.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I did not know Chipotle was doing that.
Yeah.
We started getting questions in the chat. I
Yeah,
hope
I'm
we
seeing
could get
some
to all
questions.
of them.
Yeah,
The first one is asking, do you know of any major financial institutions that have started using blockchain?
Actually put the answer to that question in the actual chat itself. It's JP Morgan and Citibank currently are working on using the blockchain in their financial systems currently. So it's a start to it. There's much more to it coming from different institutions. So many hedge funds are using it. It's just a beginning.
As well as countries and governmental organizations. You can take several currently third world countries as well as second world countries are attempting to adopt these into their financial institutions, adopting blockchain into their financial institutions to solve existing issues of fraud that happen in their countries. So that is something that's happening across the board.
Great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
The next question asks, what's the best way to get into the blockchain development space as a job or internship?
Okay, that's a really good question. The best way is first to really educate yourself. 50 to 100 hours of education is literally just the tip of the iceberg of this kind of thing, of the blockchain space. But the best way to get involved in that is to really just reach out to all the companies that you know are developing technology in this space. There are many of them. Consensus is one of the biggest examples, and we'll put up a list of companies that are developing or hiring these technologies.
That would
But
be great.
really, you just got to dive into it. Honestly, there is no true way to prepare outside of educating yourself
And
and then
lots of
jumping right
research.
into the job.
Lots of research.
And lots of research. Yes.
That's the number one thing.
Perfect. Hopefully we could have that slide up in the 102 session for Giovanni. Great
Yes.
question. Next question is asking, step by step, please discuss the minting of a digital image. I'm not too familiar, but I'm
so
pretty
what
sure that's its own.
Yeah, that's a good
topic.
question. What we're gonna do, what we have is actually in the deck, there is a step-by-step screenshot that we'll provide. We zipped a little bit past that because of time constraints. So it's not that short of a step-by-step process. It's not like a 5-step process. There is a bunch of clicking here and there. So we'll provide, it's more about like a 15 to 20 step process. So we'll provide that through the deck if that's okay.
Perfect. The next question is asking, hi, I've been trying to find out which are the main groups within the crypto community. Example, miners, stakers, investors, but there's definitely many more. Can you think of any others?
So there's definitely the miners, the stakeholders, there are the investors, there are the developers. Which are the main groups? I would say there is no particular main group. It really matters. The whole point of the blockchain is to level the playing field for every person that's involved. Everybody who's involved in the blockchain is essentially already a stakeholder. Miners, the one thing to keep in mind about miners and the farmers and the miners are the fact that they actually do control the market a lot of times. And that's where we were talking about the 51% attack, is that if a group of miners want to, in what's called proof of work, the proof of work consensus, if they plan to, let's say, process 51% of all Bitcoin or Ethereum transactions on the planet, they can offset entire markets. So they can change the entire price of Bitcoin, Ethereum overnight. And you've seen that happen, actually. These are the reasons why you're seeing the prices and the fluctuations and volatility. It's not because Elon Musk tweeted something, even though everyone attributes it to that. It's really not about that. It's about the major stakeholders who, if you want to talk about main groups, one of the biggest, most powerful groups within the stakeholders of blockchain would be the miners, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you, Armen.
Yeah, of course.
We have a good question, and I want to know the answer of this one. Where can we get free crypto?
Coinbase.com. On initial sign-up, they will give you free crypto, and they'll actually give you a tutorial on how to, on different cryptocurrencies from Bitcoin to Ethereum, etc. So you go by the side. If you listen to the slides or watch the slides, you answer a few questions, you get free crypto.
Yeah,
awesome.
But you get free crypto for learning about crypto.
So you get about $20 worth of crypto in a mishmash, and then after that, what you can do if you don't want to hold, let's say Cardano, you could transfer it into Bitcoin. It allows you to do that in the Coinbase system.
That's really cool. That's good to know. We'll speed through the next couple of questions. Can internet service providers potentially identify nodes processing blockchain and go after them by throttling their internet so they effectively cannot process transactions rapidly?
So this is a really good question. In that when we were talking about the miners, so this comes back to the topic of the miners that I was talking about in the previous question, is that one of the main goals of the blockchain is to keep from being involved with internet service providers. And so every day there are technologies that are being developed to further distance the blockchain away from current ISPs, who we call the big man. In fact, currently ISPs, even oversight like government organizations, can go after by throttling the internet and stopping the transactions by affecting all of that. So that's really where we see a lot of the farming and the miners actually operating in countries with less government and less ISP oversight, so as to avoid being throttled or to avoid any kind of involvement. And so that's really again, we're coming back to why has the blockchain been created, is to create decentralization.
Mhm.
Perfect. We are running short on time, and we do have the raffle giveaway, but I do want to have everyone's questions answered, so hopefully we could answer
Yes,
them
I can
in a quick
answer.
manner.
We can go through it quickly. Yeah.
Mhm.
The next question is, how does the government feel about decentralized currency becoming a thing versus the current centralized bank?
They hate it. They hate
Yeah,
it
I
right
mean,
now.
look, the government, the government has its opinions about decentralized currency becoming popular. Decentralized currency will always exist, and the endeavor of decentralization is always going to exist. Just like a teenager wants to rebel when they get to 13 years old. Everyone wants freedom, and you're gonna see that desire for freedom from the economy always happening.
Absolutely.
But you're also always gonna see the government joining the party. So
Perfect.
the government is definitely going to take part in cryptocurrencies and digital currencies.
A U.S. crypto will
Correct.
happen in the real, very near future. As you see, year by year, the dollar is it's worth nothing.
Yes.
So going off of that, that's why these, cryptocurrencies and from Bitcoin to whatever, the price keeps going up for those, and the dollar's price keeps falling every year.
Yep.
So
All right, we have two last questions. We won't accept any other questions after those two. The first one's asking, if a smart contract is decentralized and the parties are anonymous, how do disputes get resolved, such as those arising from a smart contract that has a coding error?
So where's that question? Sorry, I didn't see that question.
Jim,
No worries.
Jim
I
was
will add it
that question.
one more time in the chat.
If a smart contract is decentralized and the parties are anonymous, how do disputes get resolved, such as those arising from a smart contract that has a coding error? I mean, that's a great question, in that the whole goal of creating these smart contracts, actually the language that they're written in is called Solidity, which is the coding language in which they are written in. The whole goal of the smart contract is to not have these errors. And one of the ways that decentralization is being promoted to have anonymous parties not have these issues is the concept of atomic swaps. And so they're essentially, if the terms are there, right, and if I have the funds and you have the asset, there really should not be any dispute that's created. And most of the time, if these things are done atomically, which means instantaneously, so if I shake your hand over $100 deal and the $100 is already in your hand, then there really shouldn't be any errors or any disputes.
Absolutely.
While there may be disputes that happen, there currently are not third parties that are looking to resolve these issues. It just, and that's why, again, this space is very important to be educated in. You don't send funds or cryptocurrencies or perform transactions with parties that you really don't know in the first place. So there has to be some due diligence on the part of every user, and it really calls for everybody to be a more responsible user of the web.
Yep. And one last thing I want to say, this has nothing to do with that question, but if you are gonna purchase cryptocurrency, do it on Saturdays and Sundays when the stock market is closed. That's probably the best advice I can give you, because they won't be hedging against each other. You know what I'm saying? Because there's more volatility during the week. So Saturdays and Sundays is a good time to look at that type of stuff or buy that type of.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Very
Yeah.
last one. We are over time. The last question is, do you have a trusted link where we can educate ourselves better on NFT and blockchain?
And that's kind of the reason why we're all here today, is there is no single source of information there is no single tutorial, single source of information that can create all of this transparency. One of our jobs here at pxlmade, right, was to create the transparency that's required to understand all of these topics. And we will further continue to do this as we move forward. What we do plan is to offer a Discord channel where we can come together as interested parties in the blockchain and discuss that, to have better educated partners toward learning more about NFTs and the blockchain. And so we will also be sharing the Discord links for everyone that wants to further educate themselves. And within the Discord, we'll be providing links on certain topics, but to say that there is one trusted link, there just is not. There's way too much information out there. And yeah, and definitely not yet. And there's way
I do know one place, those Tech on Tap events.
Oh yeah,
and
right
the
here.
102 event and the 103 event that we'll be
He knows what he's
hosting.
talking about.
Correct. So the trusted link is the one that was in your email this morning.
And the next
Yes.
one, whenever it shows up.
Yeah.
It's a Zoom link.
Yes.
All
correct.
right. Thank you all
John.
for
Thank you,
the
John.
very
Appreciate
thoughtful
it.
questions. Thank you, Armen and Levon, for answering them. We're going to conclude the Q&A session. As promised, we will now hold the raffle drawing. You do need to be participating and on the live session. So whoever's here will only be able to participate. So we are going to, everyone's name is in this random selector.
Is it Ethereum you're raffling off? That'd be lovely.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
if that's the case, my name would be on it.
Alright.
Daya
Daya.
Baran, are you on the call? If you
Daya,
are, please unmute
congratulations.
and say I am here.
Going once, going twice.
Is Daya here? Oh, perfect. I see you
Congratulations.
waving. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Please stay after the Tech on Tap event so we could coordinate. Congratulations again. Really quickly, thank you all for joining today's event, and a big thank you to our guest speakers, Armen and Levon. It truly was a very interesting topic, and we're looking forward to having you in our future Tech on Tap events. That is both to Armen, Levon, and to all the participants. If you would like to see a specific topic in our future events, or if you'd like to be a guest speaker at our future events, feel free to contact me at chooseglendale@glendaleca.gov. That will be added to the chat as well. Again, it's chooseglendale@glendaleca.gov. I want to thank you all, and I hope to see you all at our next Tech on Tap event. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John.
It's very good.